had a workshop in spring.
Yeah, in summer even, or like, a few of them in 2020 and 2021.
What was it that you were conveying to people and working with them on?
We were having such a nice introductions, like about summer, about like, what it's 2020, 2021
I want to
about.
cut to the chase.
Okay. So in 2021, I was mostly giving online workshops and some organizing meetings with workers. And that was a part of it. In the beginning of June, I had very nice, that was supposed to be a lecture, but I proposed it in a form of more interactive workshop. A talk with art people, with creatives, with workers of art business, with producers of culture. We can name them like that. And I had to prepare 6 hours of workshop, 2 days of that, on how to explain art people in what kind of specific way they are exploited.
Okay.
And what they can do about that.
Okay. Why do people in the arts need that explained to them?
Because, there is what I was lacking, learning about the theory of capitals and all those theoretical things, French theorists, Bourdieu, Jacques Rancière, everybody, theory of capitals. We are talking about habitus. We are talking about this twisted word of capitals when you don't have only economical capital, but you've got also symbolic and social. And in many cases, people of arts, especially art producers, for me, for sure this is spreading on other sectors, and I wrote an MA on that, but this is very specific when you can translate, or people are telling you that they can translate the economic capital you should earn for your work into social capital, into some kind of different benefits. Or, sometimes you are just paid in a promise to work more, also for free, for the same people. So this is very specific kind of exploitation that needs to be explained. Because, if we are not educating ourselves and organizing ourselves, the world won't be changed ever. And we've got, we don't have plenty of time.
So the specific kind of exploitation that people in the cultural sector are facing, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
So how is a person in the cultural sector exploited in a different way than somebody working in an industry or caretaking or so forth?
Because there is, of course, every industry got their own exploitation, right? And if you mention, care industry, care sector, we've got so many different levels of this is a female job that was unpaid for so many years, care of very small children, before kindergarten, this is what, nursery. This job is unpaid in real life. So that's why the wages in the sector are so low, right? And it's we've got different kind of explanations of exploitation in different sectors, but your question was?
How is it different in the cultural sector?
Because it's allowed, because it's well seen, because everybody's working for free in the beginning, right? Because students' practices, this is something that you have to go through, and it's not 1 year, but maybe 5 years. Also, working in a project system is giving the employers the allowance to this is the other project, something different, you don't know it. There is some mysterious knowledge around it, people you have to know. Systems you have to know, the way to act in this industry, basically. And I've never seen and never researched so many unpaid activities as in cultural sector. And that's why I decided, that's why it was so interesting for me always.
So that people are working more without getting paid in the cultural sector. Why do you think that is?
We can invent like thousands of answers, but are you paid for your creativity? Like, you cannot turn it off. It's 24/7. And creativity is something that is making arts work, right? You cannot stop creating because this is a value of yours.
Okay.
You cannot switch it off.
So we do it whether we get paid for it or not.
Yeah, and they want us to think so.
Well, if unpaid work is so prevalent, and it seems to be, correct. Is that because people are so passionate about culture and art, or they are sort of like willing to go through less better deals to become creative?
Maybe there is something, everybody, this is a very individual thing, I think. Everybody got their own motivations. It's so nice to be in culture, right? Meet interesting people, to work in creative industries. You are just, running on your passion. So you are getting engaged in more and more projects. You are getting to know new people, want to do something with them. Are we paid for something that we are doing right now?
Well, we are not doing it for anyone else. So we're not being paid for it, but we are the owners of what we are making.
Yes, but we are kind of professionalizing, our daily conversations right now. Also putting a lot of pressure on ourselves because we want to produce this product, right? We want to have it on our own. So we are a little bit we are deciding openly that, okay, we are engaging for an hour or two, look how much stress and pressure was with setting of everything. And we're just putting this extra stress and an amount of time on ourselves behind our jobs because we want to do something creative. We want to have some process of thought saved or something. Like, we are doing it for different benefits, but also we both know how it is in creative industries. Like, we are using those methods, motivate, how to motivate yourself, to make an appointment, to know the methods, like what quality this podcast should be, right? How to do it properly. So also this is something, like, you want to produce something that will be saved, will be seen. So you are putting more energy than you should. And more energy, of course, we have to unlearn that in every sector. But in creative industries, you are just giving this extra, surplus value. You are putting it to create something a little bit better, something with better quality, something that will be seen, something you will be happy about.
Well, it goes back to, because you're not doing it for whoever you're selling it to. You're doing it for yourself, right?
We are talking about situation now, or what?
Now,
like in
and
general,
maybe in general as well. So, somebody who translates a book and sells the translation might put more energy into it, because at the end of the day, they weren't doing it for the money. They were doing it to translate, because that's what they live for. They don't create to be paid. They get paid to be able to create. But of course, then that opens up all kinds of questions of how how that also is being exploited. Like if somebody will do anything, whether they get paid for it or not, and then somebody is in an economic relationship with that person, they would say, okay, in that case, why don't you do it for nothing? So it becomes a very difficult, blurry line.
Yeah, so look how many dangerous points we marked already. And what theory is telling us? That you have to have special kind of upbringing, special kind of habitus, special skill set. Also, you have to have your own asset if you want to stay in arts. This is this is according to statistics. If you want to stay in arts, it's better that you have your own apartment. So if your parents provided you with an apartment, you are more likely to stay in arts. Okay, and theory is staying, it's stopping here. We know all the stuff. We are, putting a light on all those issues. And then people are trying, okay, so we should inform students in Academy of Fine Arts how hard it will be, because right now they are playing, and right now everything is so wonderful and creative, and they are having so much fun with all of what they are doing. But then there will be a real life, and they will want to make money from that. And this approach was never enough for me. And I started to, first of all, research those relations in the creative work, creative jobs in arts and etc. But also finding ways to organize those people using the tools that they already have. So what is the first thing you are doing as a creative or as an artist? If you are not this person who's just working alone, focus on their own stuff. Okay, even if you are working alone and like very individual projects and working on your brand and etc., you have to sell it. So you have to network, right? You have to go outside of your shell and network. And the more connected you are, the better your sales are, the better your material situation is, and etc. People are also reading it in a very cynical way, are we friends, or I am a part of your network? Those are those questions in the art world all the time, are we really friends, or this is just something to sell your works or to get involved in a next project? And this is also a very important issue if we are thinking about mental health of artists and creatives. But we can use this freaking networking to organize, right? Okay. You know your colleagues, so you can start talking about your working conditions. Mm-hmm. And then if you are a translator, you want to make a great translation of a book. By organizing, you will get to know how to plan your budget. Mm-hmm. For example, in a perspective of a year. So you can negotiate the price that will let you have, medical services provided that will cover your 3 days that you need to rest, and etc. But, this is a very slow process of learning, very slow process of organizing, but it's still better than being into this, only the richest ones and most protected can stay in arts.
So is it accurate to say that part of what you're doing is moving away from this understanding of the artists as being in a privileged position and being so lucky that they get to be artists, and going into organizing on a more social plane in a more similar way as kind of traditional workers' organizational methods are?
Yes. But those will be the only thing I can compare to. I've learned the most when I started working with contractors and freelancers. Mm-hmm. So this is what artists are. Mm-hmm. Not all the creatives, because some creatives can be hired by an institution and divide their budgets, like, what I am getting from the institutions, what I can do, like what kind of time I can loot for myself, and have some, I don't know, realize some project, or like, is this institution leading me to some different projects, different people, etc. And to work on our own. But some of them are cannot be employed at all. So they have to look for projects, write grants to the city, and etc. And this is sometimes another part of your work time. Like sometimes it's even 50% of your work time writing grants. If you are an artist, if you are a director of a small gallery, for example, you are spending half of your time not on creative thinking, but to fill out all the papers.
I mean, this a lot of these things are the same for anyone who works as a freelancer.
Yep.
So if you are a freelancer, you are your own business. Yep. And obviously, big part of any business is like marketing or connecting or so forth. But I also wonder if there is another thing that can shed a light on this, which is that now we live in an age where art is mechanically distributed, right? So and digitally distributed. So whereas before you could be like a local musician in your own town and you could make a living playing music there. Now that it all goes into the radio or Spotify or whatever, there is this economics of there's like a lot of people trying and very few people sort of succeeding, and succeeding really big. So it's kind of a weird economics of, for every one very successful artist that makes a lot of money, there's 1,000 that had to be kind of sacrificed for that to get. You need to be by the microphone. So isn't it like that? The fact that like art is like a symbolic medium that can just be reproduced, and then it's like that. It already, like, the odds are sort of on average maybe okay, but the reality of it for an individual artist is kind of cruel in that way.
Yeah, and that's why the strategy of winner takes it all.
Yeah.
It's not working for it's not working for anybody.
Right.
Why do it? But it's like, we are coming to the terms like, why do we have billionaires? Why do we have millionaires? We don't need them. So, like, what I am doing with my small organizing skills and, like, selling this tools of organizing to others, it's to, to fight this difference in payments. I don't need stars. I don't need celebrities. I need culture that I am using every day. And maybe this is connecting us with the text that you wanted to read.
Sure. Okay, but then let's go to those tools and the workshops that you do. And, I know that you do certain things. You get people to draw their working environment. Tell us a bit about concretely, like, what can you transmit to a working artist or somebody who is kind of faced with this situation?
For me, organizing, it's planning and putting a new light on the information that all of the workers, they have the information. They are the owners of all the data that is around them. But this is just not systematized. This is not organized enough. So what I am doing as an organizer is basically I'm asking questions and trying to help people just, systematize what they know and how they can change their working conditions for the better, or how they can just realize, like, where are they from and why this is like, maybe they are unhappy with something, and this is, like, very easily to change because you have to speak with one person or two people, or you have to just organize your workplace committee if you have a workplace.
So you're encouraging people who know certain things, I mean, the information is there, to contextualize it?
Yeah. First of all, to put it in a bigger picture. Like, for example, if you are struggling with your budget, because all of us do, just put it in a budget of a year. And I know how hard it is, but we can do it sitting together. And like, being an artist, I wouldn't do it alone. But if I will collect 4 other people and we are just sitting together at the table, hey, we've got this 1 hour of a meeting, and we are just seeing like what our workplace is, who I am working with, for whom, what kind of money I am getting for that. This is so much easier to put it in context and then to plan, for example, what kind of price I should put on my painting or on my, dance rehearsal, whatever.
So what kind of questions are you asking people, or what concretely, like, if somebody goes to a workshop that you're holding, how would you go about doing it?
I am using anarcho-syndicalist methods because this is working for me. And this is making a real change in, just even organizing this kind of workshop is a direct action, and it's changing a lot. And I haven't seen any single person who, even though if you are thinking a lot about your workplace, you are sure why you are working for this institution and etc. This is nice, but sometimes to meet other people and to see how they are working, this is a great value. So my friend Alicia is she's a cultural organizer and project coordinator and working for cultural institutions in Poland, and she was just this summer I was there, and I was able to participate in a very simple event where dissidents from the city and people that were owning galleries, studios, individual artists, they met and they were checking on their studios and the process, how they are making their art. So we were in the places from the studio of a student that just graduated her MAs. So she was one room, shared with another person. She was talking about how she's struggling with money, how she's dividing her budget every month. And then you are meeting people who are well recognized in the world of art and selling and making a lot of commercial projects. And then you are going through to a commercial gallery that is selling high-priced paintings mostly. And they all are exchanging information. They all are there to connect with each other and to talk with each other and to get to know their working conditions. Look how this is such a powerful tool of spreading the information. You don't have to be competitive all the time. You can connect, and there will be maybe next month there will be an issue with something, and you will know who to call or ask for help or just ask how they are doing because maybe they are struggling. So this is it. So you asked how we are working.
Yeah, I'm curious just to understand more how the workshop happens and what are some of the ways that you can use to get people to see things in a different light, like you say. Yeah,
so exactly. How to see things and we have to draw things to see things.
Okay.
And as we are doing workplace mapping, when you are planning, imagine you've got a restaurant, you want to do a march on the boss, right? To ask him for rice for everybody, or to confront him with the way that he's underpaying people. So you are organizing few people and you are marching on the boss, and you have to know how your workplace look like. And exactly the same exercise we are doing even with people that are working from their own bedrooms. And this is this is a scenario of a workshop that I was conducting a few times already. And it works so well with creatives because imagine you've got your room and your desk, but it's significant that your coworker, like that people that you are renting house with are working in particular jobs, because this is your network. And maybe they are working in the same sector, maybe they are working outside, but maybe you can work together. Then you are sending your projects to one studio. And why they are paying you this way? What can you change with those? Like, or sometimes you've got a little bit of money for some small projects, but regularly. Like, you can just plan your budget in a different way when you see it physically, right? Mm-hmm. And many people are not doing it. You can do it working anywhere. And people are not doing it because we are not taught to do it.
The way you do it, you ask people to draw their work space and then share it with the rest of the participants and explain it to them. Yeah. And then out of that comes all kinds of discussions, right? Yeah.
Depends on how close is the group, right? Because if I am working, if I was making a workshop for 30, 40 people from different institutions, you are not talking a lot about private data, because on this map there is a lot of conflicts. Those are very intimate things, right? Sometimes we are all connected with other people, so it's it's human matters and it's human relations. So I'm not asking those intimate questions when we are in a bigger group. But if you have a group of 6 or 8 people that know each other already, and they are okay with sharing their stories, it's such a good tool to just learn how other people are living and working.
Ari, can you tell me like some of the ways that people's kind of perspective has been transformed through these kind of processes? Like, what kind of a situation have people found themselves in, and how have they been able to sort of tackle it differently by doing something like that? Hypothetically.
Like easy things, or some things that may be interesting, like you are organizing or talking about it at the university, and professors learn how important it is for the cleaners to work in a particular way, how important overall the basic workers at the university are having, right? And how it influenced and how it is connected with their job as lecturers. Because they see the bigger picture, like who is around them, literally.
One thing that's kind of I'm becoming aware of and thinking about now is that I know that you were studying the exploitation in the cultural sector in your studies, like when you were a student, right? But then you went out and you became moved to Iceland and became an organizer with adopting these anarcho-syndicalist methods. So is it fair to say it's like a synthesis of these things that is what you're bringing now, like using anarcho-syndicalist methods from the workers' movement?
I was
cultural.
Because like I was working in culture for 7 years, right? And this is something that as a migrant, you're coming to a new country, and from qualified worker that was earning all those hypothetical points of practices here, network here, you are known in here, you will get a job in here because everybody knows you, and I were in all the institutions in my city, right? And you are coming to a totally different environment, and first of all you've got Polish surname and you are sent to basic jobs and you have to deal with that. So I've lost my expert identity moving in here, but I've learned the tools of organizing in a process. And after those years, I can come back to my sector from when I came from, right? That I described, and I can organize them using the methods that I've learned in the past years. So this is synthesis for me right now. Giving up one, getting burned out in the second one. I got heavily burned out in organizing of basic workers, and now I am coming back with the same knowledge, and so much more energy to the cultural sector. But like, I'm not moving all my activity there, but I really like it. And all the experiences I had in the past years, they are giving me totally different perspective, because I have no sentiments for creative industries anymore.
You have no sentiments?
Yeah.
Meaning?
That I totally gave up on thinking that you have to do something for free to get to know some people or to be involved in next project. No. It's like, I am doing that. I can decide that I am doing some things for free voluntarily, but still I will write a bill how much it costs. And this is an advice that I am giving to people also.
But why are you doing this podcast with me then now?
Why? Because I'm using my creativity in the way I choose. And as we were talking before, like, this is a product that belongs to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also for me, extra value is the story to be said and published. Some things that I am thinking about right now, they are documented. Maybe I will change my thinking in a few years. Mm-hmm. Maybe I will say that, all those organizing was a bullshit. No, I won't say so, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's laced with all kinds of contradictions. I think on one hand, to be creative and to be able to dedicate time to creativity can be seen as a privilege. Mm-hmm. And like you say, in many industries, you need to, in order to get to a point where you can make a living out of something, you need to be supported by something for a while, and this gets very exploitative very quickly. On the other hand, there is no denying that it's something that people seek out and they want to do. So it's something that people desire to do. So it can't really be totally compared to, let's say, working in a factory or something like that. Also, I think that sometimes the sort of the complaint with having to do something in order to get something later, on some level, that's also just how being in business works. Mm-hmm. So if you are a freelance artist, there's nothing strange about that. That's how, if you are anyone setting up a co-working space, let's say, then you understand that there are many things that you might need to do that might not have transactional value, but you're building up to that. So that's kind of just everyday life for anyone who works independently. Mm-hmm. I think the difficulty with the arts lies in that fact, like, it's not like being a plumber, for example. Mm-hmm. Like a plumber, if you can do plumbing pretty okay, and if you're in a situation where there's economy is not collapsing, there's a fair chance that you can make a living doing plumbing, because it's not the kind of thing where there's only one plumber out of 1,000 that becomes really rich. Mm-hmm. So this is the specific difficulty with that, So there's it's just it's a difficult, complicated and interesting space to explore. And I do really see the value of what you're doing, which is because on some levels, once there's a 500, let's say, production assistants like you have in the film industry, and they're all working for free or next to free for 3 years, thinking like later I will make some money, becoming a glorious part of this whole filmmaking scene. Mm-hmm. Obviously, these 500 could also say no. They could say, hey, we won't work for free. It's not worth it. Yep. So that kind of dream is exploited. Mm-hmm.
You are touching something that happened, like, the story I've heard from my great friend that was working in Poland exactly at a film set. Mm-hmm. And what she did, because she also, got involved into organizing and she was participating in the same workshop I was giving you were at, and she just counted how much she's getting paid, how many hours after hours they have to stay on a film set. She started organizing. She showed to the employer that the wage that she's getting with those amount of work, it's under minimum wage. Mm-hmm. She asked just for the minimum wage in the country that she's working in, and she was laughed off. It's like, hey, everybody's working like that. This director is just like, this specific amazing person, and that's why you were spending not 8 hours on the film set, but 16 hours. But like, this is the industry. Everybody's working like that. And she was like, no, not everybody's working like that.
Mm-hmm. The flip side here, which I think makes it complicated, is that let's say that you or anyone, like the trouble is that artists are themselves notorious for inviting people to collaborate or participate without being able to pay. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you've got musicians that fume with anger when they're asked to perform somewhere and not being paid, asking filmmakers to make a music video for them, and there's no budget. Or maybe there's a budget for like coffee and bus ticket or something. I mean, this is not uncommon. Mm-hmm. And then you could pose the question to us, where is it like a collaboration and where is it like exploitation? Mm-hmm. If we, let's say, me and you continued with this podcast of ours, and there was a person that wanted to participate with us and help us set up the thing and be part of doing this. Mm-hmm. At what point does that become an exploitation, and what point does it become three people creating something that they're passionate about?
Mm-hmm. So we have to involve the matter of workers' dignity in here.
Workers' dignity?
Yeah.
In what sense?
Because, like we have to be careful, like where is the dignity of a worker or where is the dignity of ourselves, like as human beings, like what we are agreeing on, where is the contract?
Right, but when is somebody a worker and when is somebody a collaborator as well? I'm asking like if, are you exploiting me now with all my, knowledge that I've gained and all the work that I put into this to make this? Or I think that's the thing that, on some level is ridiculous if 20 people want to set up a theater show. One guy does the lights, one person does the ticket booth, another person is acting, another person is that. It's also ridiculous to start to point at someone and say, you are the exploited one, who is exploiting you is you, etc. I guess in an industry where whoever is producing it isn't necessarily gaining a monetary, return for it. Mm-hmm. They might be gaining some, go against symbolic capital, etc. But then the others could be as well. Mm-hmm. So I guess what I'm sort of challenging is it also starts to become a simplistic thing when it's just like artists moaning about not being paid. Mm-hmm. Because it's not so easy to draw the lines in this sense.
It's not easy, but also it's easier when you are thinking about transparency of a budget in a project.
Yeah.
And imagine I myself, with all the knowledge I have, if I would want to get involved in, let's say film industry, because we know how exploitative it is. I've got some amount of time. I want to, professionalize, have experience in, or just see how it is, how film industry works. Mm-hmm. I am getting involved into a plan set. And on the level of planning, I know my role. I know how many hours I will work paid, how many hours I can not work for free because the conditions are like that. What is the budget? How much everybody's getting? And yes, that involves democracy. Yes, maybe that prolongs the time of planning. But like, I can, if everything is transparent, if I know how much I am earning having this role, working those hours, I can agree or disagree. And not like, I am agreeing on working 8 hours a day. If this is 16, pay me more. So it's, also between us, like, I am like, we are agreeing to have this 2 hours meeting today, record what we want to talk about. We agreed that it should be a chill podcast, and like, we are not having, this is me, imposter syndrome, and we are not panicking about publishing the material, and we are not editing it. And this is our contract.
Sure. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it has to be analyzed on a case-by-case basis. Like, you have to analyze how is it being constructed, and only there can you sort of. I guess that was what I'm getting at. What ticks me off, and believe me, most of my friends are in this creative sector, and I've had this conversation so often and seen so many sides of the coin. What ticks me is this blanket statement of complaining, of not being respected or not being paid or something, without and coming up with like an overarching sort of categorical thing that everybody should be paid or something, and then never really being able to live up it yourself, because that's not really the conditions, because you also want to make your music video, or you also want to do that, and then you need collaborators, so it becomes kind of cynical, but
so complaining is the worst thing, because people who are complaining, like, I love complaining. Do you like complaining? Everybody likes complaining, but it's not leading to complaining. It's not leading to any solutions. And what we want is solutions for this sector, because it's awful. So it's like,
it's strange that you say awful, because then you have all these thousands of people like dying to get into it.
Exactly.
So that would sort of suggest that it wasn't awful, that there was also be certain privileges about being part of it. But good.
Less complaining, more workers' dignity.
Yeah, and getting people together in a workshop to become aware of their condition. I think that's a great ending point.
Yes. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Awesome.